There's no way I can handle a cage, man. I don't care. You gotta go down. It's gotta be that way.
Okay, man. Okay. I'm screwed. I'm gonna go to jail, and I'll pay, and Johnny Utah gets his guy. Right? Good for you. That's real good. You're gonna be a big hero now. But look at it, Johnny. Look at it! This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, man. Just let me go out there. Let me get one wave before you take me. One wave. I mean, where am I gonna go, man? Cliffs on both sides. I'm not gonna paddle to New Zealand. My whole life has been about this moment, Johnny. Come on, compadre. Come on.
When your baby leaves you all alone and nobody calls you on the phone, don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like crying? Well, here I am, honey. Come on, cry to me. When you're all alone in your lonely room.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome to episode number 123 of Dude and a Monkey. My name is Ian Loring, and as always, I am joined by...
Matt Foster. Hello, guys.
Indeed, and it's a bit of a weird one, this, because we've already recorded most of the show, but this bit we haven't yet. So we recorded most of the show on Sunday, but we haven't done the intro and we haven't done the main review because Marc hadn't seen The Man From U.N.C.L.E. yet, which is the film we're reviewing this week. The box office smash, the hot film right now that everyone wants to hear about, The Man From U.N.C.L.E. And then we're going to talk about what we watched. We talked about a few things on there, didn't we?
We did indeed, yeah. For a long time, actually. It's been quite a long time.
Yeah. It was about an hour and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this bit will probably be about half hour or so. So it's a longer show than usual, which is nice, I suppose. Well, I'm assuming it'll be a longer show. We haven't recorded all of it yet. So we're in a time vortex here, and it's very odd. We're going to talk about it next week, but Marc has now seen Trainwreck.
Yep, I have.
When we recorded the first bit, he hadn't seen Trainwreck.
Nope.
So at the moment, So in kind of the time of this podcast, you'll be going back in time to a time where Marc hasn't seen Trainwreck. Yep. We are now in a post Marc seeing Trainwreck universe, whereas later on in the show we'll be in the pre Marc seeing Trainwreck universe.
It's like a fucking Wachowski brothers film without the bondage.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not mine anyway.
No. I mean, I can't. The Marctrix.
The Marc. Fuck it, they might make that.
I think that might have to be the episode name.
Yeah, I think it might do, yeah.
Marctrix. Nice. Has anything happened since we recorded 2 days ago?
No. If it has, I fucking missed it.
People are getting their knickers in a twist about Colin Trevorrow doing Star Wars Episode 9. I think that was announced before we even recorded the bit that's on later in the show. But
why? I don't understand that, because wasn't Jurassic Park really quite good?
Well, a lot of people don't like Jurassic World.
A lot of people are cunts.
No, true. But I don't know. It's weird because no one seems to be acknowledging the fact that he does actually have one other film under his belt as well. Like, no one's talking about Safety Not Guaranteed. Which is a perfectly good film, and Jurassic World for me and for you was a perfectly good film. I think it's weird because you've got like fanboy favourites, J.J. Abrams, who, to be fair, is coming off of the worst film of his directorial career, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. And you've got Rian Johnson as well, who himself has only made 3 films. So, he's only made one more than Colin Trevorrow.
And there's an argument, I think, to suggest that Rian Johnson's only made one properly great film.
Yeah, there are people who don't like Looper. The Brothers Bloom is not a good film.
I have a soft spot for The Brothers Bloom, but I agree that I wouldn't be able to argue with you that it is a good film. But I do have a soft spot for it. But I wouldn't be able to put across the it's a good film argument.
No, quite. I mean, the thing is, I'm not against any of these people directing these films. I don't have an anti-Rian Johnson agenda. It's just... It's weird that people are criticising Colin Trevorrow when, he's not a million miles away from at least Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
And I don't know as well. I mean, there's a question of how much directorial vision is really needed on a Star Wars film. It's a fairly basic stylistic template. It's, there's an argument made about Marvel Studios films where a lot of people say none of them are excellent, but none of them are absolute bollocks as well. They are a solid level of good. Some people see Marvel Studios films as. And because Marvel Studios won't let the films be terrible, but they won't let them be truly unique and stand out either. It kind of feels like that could be the case with Star Wars as well. It's like Lucasfilm and Disney are so much behemoths that they can't afford to have a Star Wars film that is generally considered to be bad. So there's so many cooks in the kitchen that it feels like the director is kind of just one of those cooks.
He's the guy to blame if it all goes wrong.
Essentially, yes.
If it goes right, then they get a bit of reflective glory, but it will be well, of course it was good. It's a Star Wars film. But if it goes wrong, it'll be, well, I don't think Colin really got the ethos that we were looking for or anything like that. So I don't. It seems a strange thing. You'd be, from a director's point of view, especially as you say, young director, an up-and-coming director, you'd be fucking crazy to turn around and go, do you know what? Actually, no, I don't think that I have the experience or anything quite yet to take on a Star Wars film. You'd be fucking nuts to do that. And, it's going to go down on a CV. It's a big coup to be thrown kind of that kind of bone on there. So I can't really understand what people's issue is. It's kind of like, who do you want to direct it? As a genuine question, who do people want to be directing these films? Fuck, right, all right. Do you want to get, I don't know, Joe fucking Carnan, favourite of the podcast? Do you want him to direct a Star Wars film? Of course not. It'd be fucking ridiculous. You've got to look at and say, right, what's the right kind of, director we're looking for? Did he do a good job with Jurassic World? The film made a fuckload of money. Yeah. That's what their studio are looking at. He handled the property really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. I mean, again, this is subjective. We both happen to like Jurassic World. So, if people have got opposing points of view, we'd love to hear them. dudeandamonkey@gmail.com, @dudeandamonkey, @Ian Loring, @DudeFoz. We'd love to hear them, genuinely. And maybe we can talk about it next week if people are bothered enough to talk about it. That'd be fine. He's got experience with CG and effects. He's got experience with big actors. He can handle a fairly ensemble cast. There's a lot of main actors in Jurassic World. Jurassic World was a good stepping off point. I mean, yes, the Star Wars anthology films aren't as big a deal, frankly, but you take Gareth Edwards. He went from monsters, low budget as shit, like Safety Not Guaranteed, to Godzilla, effects-filled blockbuster, like Jurassic World, and now he's doing a Star Wars film as well. It's the same trajectory. So I understand your argument if it's like Jurassic World was directed badly, therefore why is he doing this? But the fact that people seem to be saying he doesn't fit the checklist of previous work in order to qualify for a Star Wars film. And to be fair, he kind of qualifies more than Rian Johnson. Looper does have some effects work in there, not a hell of a lot.
Thing is, I don't get what checklist people could be working off. There's a film. You're creating a film universe here with these Star Wars films, right? So, and you wanting them all to be part of a universe. So you're not going to go out and get a fucking auteur director to go and get it. You know, even to an extent, I don't think you could argue that J.J. Abrams is an auteur director at all. He's a very, very steady and very, very capable director of doing what he does. You know, you can't go out and get somebody who wants to have all-seeing fucking control over it, who has a massive body of work, who is going to go, I want to make my Star Wars movie. They don't want you to make your Star Wars movie. They want you to make their Star Wars movie competently, deliver it on fucking time, and be sure that it is going to be steady enough to make the right amount of money and not be not great. They don't care if it's a masterpiece, if it's a 9 out of 10. They just don't want it to be anything lower than a fucking 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like, if it gets critical kudos, then all the better for it. But they're not super bothered about it. I mean, that's what it is in the end of the day. So yeah.
They'd be fucking mortified, Disney and Lucasfilm, if Contra delivered a 9 out of 10 movie, or even a fucking 9.5 out of 10 movie, and then it didn't make enough money. But if they delivered a fucking 6 out of 10 movie and it still made shitloads of money, they'd be, well, you know, fuck it, we move on to the next one.
It's why Tarantino didn't do Casino Royale. You know, like that he had talks with Eon Productions, and he was just like, look, they're not going to let me do what I want to do, so I'm out.
Tarantino wanted to make it and said, I want to make a Bond movie, but I don't want to be constricted by the idea of a 12A. Okay, I might deliver a 12A movie to you, but I don't want to commit to delivering a 12A movie to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a certain breed of directors who will do Star Wars films, and they are the Colin Trevorrows of the world, and that's fine. You know, it's just they are what these films are. There are all sorts of types of films requiring all sorts of different directors. Star Wars are a group of films where you need someone, like you say, can handle the budget, can handle actors, get some shit done on time, and you know, on or under budget, done.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, to be fair, they don't need a George Lucas who wants to pioneer new technologies and spend...
That's exactly what they don't want.
Yeah, and spend weeks faffing about instead of actually talking to the actors about the performances they're giving. They need someone who can generally make everybody from the bean counters to the set dressers happy.
Yeah, and somebody where if they turn around and go, by the way, we want to put X blah person in your movie, they aren't going to go, I was kind of thinking of this guy for it. They're just going to go, all right, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like, I think what they've done is they're throwing so much at this universe that hasn't actually kind of been this version of the universe, this new idea of the universe, this rebirth of it. We haven't even got the first film yet already we've got all of these films on the horizon, and it kind of like, maybe they need to, I get what they're doing, they're trying to keep the name, they're trying to build this momentum and keep it in everybody's mindset, so that when it's released, it's, fuck, here we go. You don't need to do that with Star Wars. It's already there. What they're in danger of doing is creating already the idea of when this one finishes, people going, so what about that guy? Who's going to direct that guy's movie? And where's that guy's character going? And all that. And it ends up being, people aren't fucking talking about the movie. They're talking about what the movie means in 4 movies' time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, anyway. Colin Trevorrow, don't have a problem with it. You know,
it's not my universe, and I have very little stake in it. But I think people are just looking for an issue where there's no issue.
And fuck, man, I'm going to be nearly 35 by the time that fucking film comes out, and I only just turned 31. So fuck it.
I'll be nearing 30, 37. So
Yeah. So whatever. Anyway, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Are you ready?
yeah.
Yeah. It's directed by Guy Richie, stars Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer, Alicia Vikander, Deborah Lipnicki, I think her name is. Elizabeth Lipnicki. Okay, fine. And Hugh Grant. Adaptation of the 60s TV series. You've got Henry Cavill as the American, Armie Hammer as the Russian, Alicia Vikander as the girl. And they have to team up to spoil a plot by a nefarious millionaire lady played by Elizabeth Lipnicki. Mark, what do you think of The Man from U.N.C.L.E?
Well, I was really, really, really not looking forward to this one. Like really, because I didn't like the trailers at all. I know you've been going through this Bondish thing and rewatching all the Bond movies. And this Guy Ritchie has come out and said that this has that kind of 60s or 70s Bond aesthetic, and that was what he was kind of like going for. Ritchie also, I haven't watched a Guy Ritchie movie since the last Guy Ritchie movie I watched was, I think, Swept Away, which sort of shows how much I kept up this fucking career. It's really good. It's a really, really entertaining, fun film. Stylish as fuck. The stars of the show are John Matheson, the cinematographer, and Guy Ritchie, who seems unbelievably sort of confident in what he's doing. The cast are all great. Alicia Vikander's accent aside, which seems to just float around every fucking where.
Yeah. But
there's we'll get to it soon. What he does with the action is ridiculous. I think it's really, really interesting. It's if you're nitpicking, it's a touch too long, but I'm talking maybe 10 minutes, but it's still pacey as fuck. I think there's little to kind of pick at it. It's a really fun ride.
Nice. I was a big fan of this. I agree it's a touch too long. I think the third act is the weakest act.
Yeah.
The climactic action, I remember nothing but the music. Daniel Pemberton, his score, and the choice of other pieces of music as well, I think is really well done. I've been listening to the soundtrack on Spotify.
Oh, is it on Spotify?
I
will also be listening to it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Just like the kind of almost like jazz flute kind of pipe work going on in it, and then the kind of almost Ennio Morricone kind of kind of stuff.
It's almost kind of like, even at points intentionally, almost some fucking sort of Giallo-esque fucking vibes in there, which is really, really nice. You can tell it's being made by a guy who fucking loves his cinema and knows his shit. There's so many beats where you go, that's nice. The Bond nod, it is just, oh, that's good. I like that.
I mean,
that's the numbers on the door was so.
Oh, 707.
And the fact that it's the Bond 7 as well.
Yeah. I mean, it is just a great deal of fun. I was looking forward to it anyway, and it was my birthday film this year, and I was very, very pleased with it. Last year, my birthday film was The Rover, so it was a step up this year, frankly. It's stylish as all hell, like you say. Like the kind of like the split screeny type stuff they're doing with it, and there are shades of Soderbergh as well, who was going to do it originally. Just like there's a lot of kind of long lens stuff, and then kind of zooming in on things, which I really enjoyed as well. But just the balls of Richie as well. Yeah. Like, one of the standout scenes is Henry Cavill eating a sandwich, watching Armie Hammer.
This is my point about the action.
Yeah, go on.
This is my point. The action, it's wonderful because it's almost like Guy Ritchie has sat and he's watched a lot of this type of movies that have been happening over sort of like the past sort of maybe 10 years. So, you know, you've got the Mission Impossible movies, are ones that you could throw out there. And you've got the Transformers movies and all those, you know, the big, you know, summer blockbuster movies. And has gone, they're all 2 and a bit hours long, and you get so much action. One of my big complaints about some of the Marvel movies, for instance, as being, I don't need to watch Tony Stark fly around in the Iron Man suit for 25 minutes, essentially the same shot, just flying by different buildings.
Sure.
So what he's done is he's done something really interesting, where he's gone, here you go, here's an action scene. Here is, remember guys, we're all spoilers all the time. Here is an action scene where Armie Hammer is being chased on a boat. We're not going to show you that. That's in the fucking background. We're going to show you Henry Cavill eating a fucking sandwich, which, like you say, is glorious whilst he's watching all of that. Later on, do you know what we're going to do? The big fucking burst where they're going to go and they're going to rescue the girl. We're going to show it as a fucking montage with split screen. Yeah. Boom! It's wonderful. It's so refreshing to watch a director go, fuck it. You know what? I've got the money to make this movie. I'm not making movies for money anymore. I've got fucking loads. Madonna gave me fucking so much money that I'm making movies just because I want to and just because I can.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. It's just a guy who really, really likes cinema.
Yeah.
Just wants to do these stories on a big canvas and have a laugh with it. And I mean, just the thing about that particular scene with Henry Cavill eating the sandwich, it's just the fact that it is actually ridiculous what's going on. Armie Hammer is just basically being chased in a circle in a speedboat. And every now and then, like, you just see in the reflection, just like an explosion. And it's just...
It's glorious.
It's one of my scenes of the year. It's fucking amazing.
You know what? This film has 2 of my scenes of the year in it. And that's one of them. 3, actually. I'm the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm going, I'm a little bit in love with this movie.
Yeah, I am.
The other one is the Vikander, where she starts dancing behind.
Yeah, fantastic.
And she's in soft focus behind, and he's in, you know, he's the main focus. You've got Armie Hammer's the main focus of the screen, and it's that, and it's the fact that she disappears and comes back with the glasses on, and it's just, there's that one, and the Henry Cavill when he's been drugged and he lays down, and she says, what are you doing? He says, well, I've been here before and I fell and I hurt my head. So,
yeah, that's a good line.
And he lays down and she lays down next to him. There.
On the sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That as a still is just, what a gorgeous shot. And this is a film that is full of absolutely gorgeous shots.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it doesn't feel self-conscious about it whatsoever. It's just having a laugh.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just dicking about, basically, and it's fantastic. I mean, Hugh Grant is not in it much, but when he is, he's got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
The tone where he just comes on, kind of almost smirking through most of it,
and he's almost like apologising for being one step ahead of everybody all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I just the line's in the trailer as well, but it's like, well, for a special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
Just laughing.
And he's like basically laughing at him. It's great. It's great. I mean, it is literally just the fact that it is a hair too long that really doesn't ruin it at all. It just takes it down a notch.
Yeah, it does. It maybe just needs. There's a bit where I think it might not even be that it's too long. It's just the fact that the film is so pacey up to a point, and then it kind of has a little bit in the third act, like you say, where it just kind of gets a bit muddled for where it loses that kind of paceness, and it just kind of sags a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe 5 minutes. It might not even be 5 minutes that needs taking out. It doesn't have the panache for 5 minutes that the rest of the movies had.
I mean, like, it's just it kind of there's some plot revelations and a character like her dad comes into it, and then 5 minutes later he's basically shot in the head and killed, and it's a little bit what's the point of that? You've got the Army Hammer bit as well, where he's got the subplot of like basically trying to get the guy who stole his dad's watch, and it's like that bit is a bit like, okay, it's a bit of character flavour. Do I really care? Not really.
It's that's all a device for him to gain a no. I like this guy too much.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's all in service of that, where he gives him the watch at the end. Yeah, for sure. So I mean, there are these little problems, but I mean, Nikki is fantastic.
Yes.
She is great. She's proper. She's got that like line of alluring, but also dangerous.
Yes,
you know she's smarter than most other people in the room.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's very well aware of it. She definitely comes across as she's the most dangerous person in this movie, and she just saunters in. That's the great thing. She saunters into every fucking scene and just goes boom.
Yeah.
And then delivers it, and then fucks off again. It's a really, really kind of assured performance, and you do kind of almost go, do you know what? I wish there was more of it in it, but I like the fact that she doesn't outstay her welcome. She doesn't have the time to go, that didn't work. She's got enough there that she does feel like the right character for that. And the fact that they focus on her and hardly ever focus on her husband, who is supposedly what is it? And they quite literally at the start say he's just a playboy idiot. She's the brains of it all.
Yeah, and that never comes into disrepute or anything. It's very clean with that storytelling. It is just the fact the third act does get a bit muddled. I did like the fact that her uncle did just turn out to be a right bastard.
Yeah,
like I quite enjoyed that. Like she's quite close to him and whatnot, and they're having quite a touchy-feely relationship at the start, and then it all goes wrong, and he is just a sadistic prick.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite a nice touch. But yeah, it's just boatloads of fun. I am really looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, me too, absolutely. I mean, the two leads are great as well.
We haven't really talked about him. Yeah.
Henry Cavill, the voice that he's gone for with it just works so well. Just his cadence and his tone and everything like that. He has absolutely gone, I want to play this cool as fuck. Like nothing has bothered me that is happening. He never loses cool at all. And then they've gone for how can we go the exact opposite with Army Hammer? We'll have him where everything bothers him, and he constantly loses his fucking cool.
Lovely flat cap, though.
It is, yeah, and they look cool. The whole thing looks cool. It's all about style, and the fact that they have arguments about style as well.
Oh my god, that fucking conversation they have about what she should wear. Oh, I forgot about that. That's gold.
It's gold, but it's little things like that moment. You don't expect it to happen, that kind of lift this film up beyond where it could have sat quite nicely and still been quite enjoyable, that lifts it up to kind of like a higher level. And even the bit where he says, that bow tie doesn't work with that outfit, and then walks away, and then the next scene, he's not wearing the bow tie, he's wearing a different tie. Just works so wonderfully. I watched this at 10:20 this morning. On I had a midweek day off, which is an incredible rarity for me. I watched it at that time. Quite a few people in the screening that I was in, and it felt like a great time to be watching this movie. Middle of the day, on a day off, as a little fucking treat to myself. And I sat down and I went, right, the trailers have done nothing for this movie, but I am in this movie. I am watching this movie. I am set up to enjoy this movie. If this movie wants me to enjoy it, and within a minute and a half, I was, all right, okay, this is what this movie is. Do you know what? Fuck it, yeah, bring it.
Yeah, even the title sequence, even the Warner Brothers logo. It's just like, yeah, okay. I think I'm going to be okay with this.
This movie has nothing to say to you other than sit down and enjoy the next 2 hours of your life.
Maybe have a Peroni.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yeah.
We're going to Italy next month, and this got me in the mood so fucking hard.
It doesn't surprise me at all. I think you said on I can't remember this on WhatsApp or on Facebook that the minute it finished, you could have walked out and then walked straight back in to a sequel.
Yep.
Exactly the same.
And we're never going to get one.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really disappointed about that.
I don't. Why hasn't this movie made money?
Straight out of Compton, in the US anyway. It just, that was the pop culture thing of last weekend, I think.
Unfortunate that, innit?
And I mean, I don't. The thing is, I mean, Warner kind of did it right in terms of the release date. It got far enough away from the other big action films. 2 weeks away from Mission Impossible.
Underestimated Straight Out of Compton.
Yeah, totally.
I think we fucking said 3-4 months ago that Straight Out of Compton will make crazy money.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So
I saw a trailer for it in the cinema for the first time today before Man From U.N.C.L.E. And was like, holy shit, this is a new trailer. And it was, Christ, they made this movie. That feels like a movie that should never have been made. It should have been made, but that would never have been made. And that it's almost like they've gone, Dre's really, really rich, isn't he? We could make this movie because he's really, really rich.
Nice, yeah. I mean, when's that? It's next weekend, isn't it? It's not this weekend.
Not this weekend, next weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going up against is it Bad Education, the movie?
That's this week.
Is that this week?
Yeah.
Is that a TV series that I don't know about? Or something?
Yeah, it's a BBC Three thing, I think.
I'd say good, but I'd be fucking lying.
Yeah. No, we say at the end of the show, but we're doing Vacation this week, aren't we?
We are indeed.
Yeah, I fucking forgot Sinister 2's out. I'd actually rather see Sinister 2, but...
If you want, I'll happily do Sinister 2.
No. If you want to do Vacation, we'll do Vacation, because I think
Becky will come and see Sinister 2 with me, whereas she will not come and see Vacation with me.
Are you serious?
Yes, she will. She fucking will not. she's already fucking said when I looked at the Vacation post and what is it, and she went, no, just fucking no.
Are you like if you want to watch Vacation?
Well, I'd say we do Sinister 2.
Oh, thank fuck for that. Oh, thank fuck for that. Oh, it gives me an excuse to rewatch Sinister as well, because I only watched that once and it was at Fright Fest and I was pissed and fell asleep. So. So, yeah.
Wake up like halfway through it in quite an amusing way and ask no what was going on.
Yeah, I think that probably sounds about right, to be fair.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So ignore what we say at the end of the show. We're not doing Vacation. Sinister 2, yes. I'm so fucking relieved, Mark. You have no idea.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm actually quite looking forward to Sinister 2. So, yeah.
Boom.
Let's give that a go.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to go and watch the United match. Mark's going to do something else. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go and make dinner whilst watching the United match and then watch a couple of films.
Nice. And we're going to go forward back in time.
Yes, we are. We're going to spin the old Marctrix around and spew more loveliness at you.
Do you shove the red pill up your ass or the blue pill up your ass?
I shove the red pill up my ass and I shove the blue pill in my ear and hope that everything's all right.
That's good. Okay, so we are back, kind of, even though in reality this is before we've done anything else.
Yeah.
Which is a bit confusing. So I hope I said at the start of the show that we're going to do trailers after the review this week, so it's basically less hassle for editing, essentially.
Yeah.
And then kind of take it on from there. So, Mark, we've got a couple of things to talk about, I believe. What have you seen?
Trailers wise, as it stands now, I watched one this week. I've had an incredibly busy week this week. We've been renovating the shop, so I've been there for like 12, 14 hours a day, every day. So I've had very sort of little time, although I've watched a few films, which is going to be good, which I'll come to. But I've only got around to watching one trailer, but it's for Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, which, of course, I'm a huge Tarantino fan, so I'm incredibly looking forward to. And it was nice to get kind of this surprise of this trailer just fucking arriving and giving us our first glimpse into Tarantino. I suppose it's effectively like his second kind of Western he's done. And I'm very, I mean, I was already very up for it, but I'm a little bit even more up for it because it looks. I was a huge fan of Django to the point of where I watched it again this week after watching the Hateful Eight trailer. And I like Inglourious Bastards, but it's the one I go back to of Tarantino's the least, for sure. But they were quite big and quite epic films, and they're sprawling. Went from this place to this place, and they happened over a period of time, etc. And this feels a little bit more, that we're going to spend a lot of time in a place, in a certain place, with these characters and these people. It feels a little bit more kind of closed. I don't want to say smaller, but a little bit more kind of intimate. Almost like Tarantino doing a new kind of idea and version of Reservoir Dogs, which has me ridiculously excited. And plus, it's an incredible cast, and you've got Tim Roth returning to working with Tarantino, Michael Madsen, Bruce Dern being given a little bit more to do, and then Kurt Russell again coming to work with Tarantino, and it's always nice to see Kurt Russell in a big film like this and able to kind of to do a Kurt Russell thing, and then Walter Goggins is there and Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's really exciting, and it looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with all of that. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how he makes use of that super widescreen.
Yeah.
In that cabin, I've got a feeling there's going to be a lot of very intricate staging going on. Where people are in the shot and that kind of thing. I think he's going to make full use of the wideness, so that whenever it's shown on telly, they can't just crop it or whatnot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like Woody Allen with Manhattan, where he said, you can never ever ever authorize the release of a version of this film that's not in 2.35 to 1.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if Tarantino's going to do something similar. I mean, yeah, I'm very intrigued by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and there's barely any of her, does she say anything?
No, she doesn't, which makes me think, ooh, is she going to say anything throughout the entire movie? You kind of get the feeling that Tarantino, even been himself, wouldn't be able to not give her lines, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if he maybe fancied a bit of a challenge for getting her to express things all through body language and faces, because I mean that one moment where talking about hanging, and then she kind of does that hanging motion.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it's really funny and kind of, I don't know, it seems to tell you quite a bit about a character just from her reaction to that and what she does. I mean, I think that's fucking fascinating. It's, and I mean, was that bit at the end, the Morricone music? Do we know if that was like a snippet of the original score, or if it was just a bit from one of his other films or something? Because I get the impression that this is all original score. This film, he's getting Morricone to just do it all.
Yeah, it's all original score. I think from what I heard was a piece that may be in the film, but that was a bit done for the trailer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which could have been, could have been Morricone going, look, this is the sort of the sound I'm gonna go for, so here you go, have this for the trailer. He's watched the trailer and gone, yeah, I'll go for this, and that sort of thing might make it in the film, or it might just be a little snippet of essentially a little score for the trailer, which wouldn't surprise you, would it?
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm very excited for this. I'm going, like, assuming it does actually show in the UK in 70mm, I will go wherever it's playing.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's just a day trip to London or something like that, I will. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. It doesn't say an awful lot about what the story is, apart from one of these people isn't who they say they are, which is intriguing. I mean, it's basically what you want from a teaser trailer, and it looks fantastic. Don't have much more to say than that, really. It looks really, really promising.
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting getting something like a Tarantino film, because we only get one like every 3-4 years. It's something to really kind of look forward to, and like you say, if it's, I would think it will come to the UK. Tarantino's got a lot of love for the UK. In 70mm, whether or not it'll ever venture outside of London in 70mm is a different thing. I know when The Master was on 70mm, that was shown at City Screen in 70mm. No, it was scheduled to be shown at City Screen in 70mm, and they had those issues with the print. So whether or not it essentially just like a little tour on 70mm or something, I don't know.
I think The Master basically just ended up playing that one screen in the Odeon West End in the end with the 70mm, and then I think they had to pull it off after a while, because I think to remember hearing, so they basically had to stop. I might be wrong there, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there, just because getting that equipment in to your cinema is going to be quite costly, probably take quite a lot of time to set up. And if it's just for the one film, there is a question of, I suppose they could just rent it for a bit. But it's going to be interesting to see what places actually make that effort.
Yeah, that's what I'm quite hopeful about, because I know that the City Screen in New York is already set up for 70mm. So that's why I'm fingers crossed that maybe if essentially the distributors go, essentially do a little sort of 70mm tour and go, right, it's going to play 70mm here, here, and here. They might look at it and say, right, who wants it? And essentially get cinemas essentially will go, we'll have it. You're not going to see, for instance, The View in York, which I'm nothing against, isn't going to go, yeah, we'll take it, we'll do that, because they'd look at it and go, what's it going to be? Maybe 1-2 screenings. Fuck it. The people that we're appealing to anyway, don't give a shit about 70mm. They'll come and see it fucking digitally a week later. So that's what you get. But you might, with the art house cinemas, you might get some of them going, yeah, fuck it, we want it. We want to have it, because we want to have that post that says The Hateful Eight in 70mm, and get people like us into it. But I'll happily say to you, right, let's have a fucking day trip out to go and watch The Hateful Eight in 70mm to London.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's the thing. If, like, in January I've just got to go to London on a Saturday or something like that, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can deal with that, So, yeah, cool. But and you said that was the only one you watched this week.
I've watched, yeah. What else have you got?
I watched one other. It's the sequel everybody wanted. Everybody wanted this sequel. Ride Along 2.
Yeah, have you seen the fucking poster for that?
Yeah, with the word. I think Noel pointed this out. The worst tagline of all.
Yes, it is awful. It's just, I mean, Ride Along wasn't a terrible movie. It was watchable in a fun kind of way. But yeah, who the fuck wanted a sequel?
Yeah, I mean, it made a lot. It did really, really well in the US. I think it came out in like January and just cleaned up. So you've got that, and this time you got Ken Jeong in there as well in a somewhat prominent role by the looks of it.
Yeah. Ride Along cost $25 million and made $154 million. That's made money.
Is that worldwide?
Yeah, worldwide.
Is that worldwide or just the US?
Worldwide. Which is...
So I think it did over 100 mil in the US alone, but then it just didn't travel as well. Yeah. But I mean, then again, like, Christ, that's kind of a rare case these days of a film doing better in the US than overseas, because it's usually very, very much the other way around these days. But I mean, That's the thing. I mean, like with how well Straight Outta Compton's doing so far as well, it kind of feels like Ice Cube's going to get heat on him from a film point of view as well. And it looks like the dynamic looks like it's going to be exactly the same. This time, Ice Cube's disapproving because, just because, I don't know, he's still disapproving. It doesn't look like there's any development there whatsoever. It just it looks like one I will watch when it comes out on VOD or something like that on Netflix, and will just make $100 million in the US, and will probably be forgotten about shortly after. The trailer looks fine. It's just its ride along too.
Yeah, it is. That's it. Exactly it.
You know, I mean, like, I don't know. You may as well just have a 2 minutes of text on screen saying "Ride Along 2 coming January 2016 because ... why not?"
yeah.
Just you know, there's very little point in conjuring any kind of enthusiasm for it, but I know I'll probably watch it when I want to watch something undemanding. So there's that.
Yeah, that's it. I know, like I say, I know I'll end up watching it at some point, but it'll be fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
it'll be something I'll watch when I have no time to decide, and the tile happens to be on that movie on Netflix from new releases, and I've just made something to eat, and I go, bollocks.
Fuck it, why not? Yeah. So Ride Along 2. There you go. Okay, so we are gonna get into some what we watched, and I could see this taking a little while, which is fine, which is all good. So let's get cracking. Mark, what have you got for us?
I'll do the ones that I've talked about before on the show, just for pure getting them out of the way. Rewatched The Voices, which is the film that I thoroughly enjoyed when I first watched it earlier on this year, and I still really enjoyed it on second watch. It's darker actually on second watch. You start picking up other sort of really quite dark elements within the film more on repeat watch, but I still really like it. It's still one of my favourite films of the year, just because it took me completely by surprise. So it's still a thorough recommend of The Voices. Also rewatched, after watching the Hateful Eight trailer, rewatched Django Unchained, which I I'm toying between it and Dogs as being my favourite Tarantino. I'm always astounded when I watch Django Unchained about the pace that it just flies by at. I mean, it's 2 hours 45 minutes long, and it just it pelts by so quickly, and it's so intense, and you realise that the majority of it is quite simply people sat talking, which is incredible for that amount of time to feel that tense and wonderful. It's just such a magnificent film, and Tarantino ended Inglourious Bastards with the I think this might be my masterpiece line, and I genuinely think that Django Unchained might be his absolute masterpiece. It just gets better every time I watch it. Something that
I'm just gonna. Oh, sorry.
No, go on. Hello?
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, I'm gonna go back through. I went back through all the Tarantino films before Django. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear?
Yeah. I went through all the Tarantino films before Django, and I'm going to do the same again leading up to Hateful Eight. And I'm fascinated to see what happens there. Just because, like, my order of favourites with Tarantino tends to shift.
Yeah.
A bit, but. At least the order does. Like, I think Inglourious Bastards at the moment is my personal one. I really like the kind of the number of plots that are going on in that film and how they all coalesce. It's like the fact that it's not specifically following one person.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, apart from Death Proof and Pulp Fiction, I mean, that's not really the case. I mean, Reservoir Dogs, it's basically about Tim Roth and Harvey Keitel, and the rest are just dressing. But Jackie Brown is about Jackie Brown. Kill Bill is about the bride. You know, and Django is obviously about Django. And I don't know. I mean, it was weird as well that Will Smith turned it down and said that he didn't think that Django was kind of the star of the film.
He thought that it was Christoph Waltz was the star of the film.
Christoph Waltz?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I don't seem to remember that being the case. I mean, how does that kind of jive now?
It's Django's film, absolutely. Something that I think yourself and I think Brad, I want to say Brad, yourself and Brad mentioned about it, where it almost feels a little bit like a superhero origins film almost.
Totally.
And it you are absolutely 100% right. And the more I watch it, the more you pick out and you go, it is that's this moment of a superhero movie. That's when he becomes blah. There's the the ridiculousness of finding his first incarnation of his costume and it not being right, and then going to a different one and settling in that, and then you've got the learning from the master and everything like that, and then you've got all of these bits that knowing Tarantino's predilection towards superheroes, it absolutely comes in this. It's certainly a brilliant way to look at it, and I think that it absolutely is, because also within that you've got these larger than life, almost like you say, comic book characters in Calvin Candy and Stephen, the Samuel L. Jackson character and everything like that. And there's just, the more you watch it, the more you pick up bits. And the scenes of Kerry Washington being essentially tortured or whipped and put out the hot or something like that, they are properly fucking, they're nasty and gnarly and cruel bits within this movie. It's such a well balanced movie, and you've got all these great performances in it. But it always you always are very well aware of the fact that you're watching a Tarantino movie, which I think is one of the great things of Tarantino, is the fact that his imprint is all over them, and it is. If you are a fan of Tarantino movies, that's what you want out of them, and it really is just a joy to watch every time I watch it.
Very nice. I'm really, I've only seen Django Unchained twice, and I'm really, really looking forward to rewatching it. And especially because it's going to be more towards the time that Hateful Eight comes out. And Django, I just remember, I kind of associate that film kind of with winter, both with part of the film, but also just because when I went to see it in the cinema, it was the kind of the winter a few years back where it just seemed to be snowing constantly throughout January, and I have it completely associated in my mind with winter. So, and it feels like wrapping myself up in a nice snuggly Tarantino blanket for a few hours. And I'm fucking pumped.
Cool. Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'll fire back across to you, and then when we come back to me, I've got some new stuff that I've not talked about before. All three actually that I've got to talk about later on actually are new films that I've never watched before.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I think I've got 4 films to talk about this week, so I'll kick it off with a new one actually. Cameron Crowe's latest, Aloha.
I've not watched it yet, but I'm a huge Cameron Crowe fan, and I'm a huge Cameron Crowe apologist, so I have a feeling I might have to do a lot of apologising for that one. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting. It's going direct to DVD and video on demand in the UK. Its cinema release got cancelled a couple of weeks back. Just because of how badly it did in the US, basically. Story is Bradley Cooper plays an ex-soldier who now works for a kind of communications giant, the head of which is played by Bill Murray. He is going to Hawaii, where he used to live, for a week to try and get the blessing of a local Hawaiian leader to basically let them launch a rocket, which the communications guy wants to kind of send up, and apparently they have to get the Hawaiian leader's permission for this. And Cooper is kind of working for this communications guy, but it's also like a military project as well. So Danny McBride's like a friend who's assigned to basically look after him, and Alec Baldwin's like the chief. So you've got this going on, but also his Bradley Cooper's ex, played by Rachel McAdams, is there. And she's having a tough time with her husband Woody, played by John Krasinski, in a almost silent role, which is interesting. There's some oohing and ahhing about, is one of the kids actually Bradley Cooper's kid? And then also, you've got Bradley Cooper forming a relationship with the kind of the woman who's assigned to look after him, played by Emma Stone, who is explained early on in the film is a quarter Hawaiian, which is a bit of a stretch, and it kind of feels weird that she is taking her Hawaiian heritage very seriously when she's Emma Stone, but Emma Stone's actually pretty good in this, and she kind of manages to pull it off just through likability alone, really. So this film's really messy. It's really messy. It doesn't know what it wants to focus on. And the last couple of minutes, the last scene, is almost like it's taking it very, like, this is supposed to be very serious and it's a very important emotional moment. But the film hasn't cared enough about that element of its plot up until this point for it to really be pulled off as the end, like the last moments of the film. It feels like a film that's kind of gotten away from Cameron Crowe a little bit. I wonder if he just had an extra few months in the edit, whether he could have done something with it, or maybe, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it came out, I think, in like May in the US, and it isn't a particularly summery film. So I can't think that he had to make a release date or something like that, because, you know, they could just push it back. But maybe he did. But I don't know, maybe this is what he wanted to do. It's just, it chucks a lot of balls in the air, and it doesn't really catch any of them particularly satisfyingly. Bradley Cooper's character's also got a lot of emotional baggage going on, at least at the start of the film, and he's very taciturn and barely wants to talk to Emma Stone's character, and at times they're having kind of meet cute type stuff, and then at other times he's an arsehole, and the film kind of flitters back and forth between what mode of Bradley Cooper we're actually seeing. Also, Rachel McAdams and John Krasinski, they barely have any screen time together, and you're supposed to believe that their kind of marriage is in trouble, but you don't really see an awful lot of evidence about that. It's also very Cameron Crowe-y. There's a lot of music in the film, and there's one brutal sequence, involving a satellite and some music, which I can't believe no one said to him, what? Why? Stop it. Think about this again. That's a bad Cameron Crowe.
That bad.
It's just like, it barely makes any... I will say, at that moment, it's Bradley Cooper doing something with a satellite, and there's music involved. When you watch that, just think, at what point in the film leading up to that have we ever had the impression that Bradley Cooper could do what he's doing? And just what actually happens, it's like Crowe is trying to make some profound statement about what music can do or something, but it just completely comes from nowhere. And I don't know. It's a whole mess of ideas, all just spunked into a film. But the thing is, it's watchable. The performances are all good. The writing lets them, or the editing maybe, lets them down. But yeah, I mean, it is a really easy watch. But if it had either gone lighter and just been an out and out comedy and played up those aspects, or if it had gone more serious and played up those aspects, then I think it could have been better than what you've got here, which is very, I don't really know what I'd want to do with this. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It kind of feels like the film world as a whole has kind of gotten away from Cameron Crowe a bit, and he likes what he does. And I mean, I don't know. You watch a film like Almost Famous or the Untitled Cut, preferably, and you've got something there which feels somewhat timeless, and it's dealing with very universal themes, and it all comes together as a whole. And it kind of feels like he's been trying to recapture that since. And what you've got here is the work of a man who just isn't quite grasping what he wants to say now, or how to say it. And it's a shame. I didn't want to pile on it because it has been rather piled on, and there are things to like about it. And like I say, it's a really easy watch, and there's a sequence with Bill Murray dancing with Emma Stone, which is really fun, and you're just like, yeah, Bill Murray could totally fuck Emma Stone, like just in real life, I think. And you know, that's gold. It doesn't. I'd be fascinated to see what you think, just as someone who's more of a fan of his than me.
I'll definitely be watching it. Like I say, I'm one of the few people in the world who actually, finished watching Elizabethtown and went, I enjoyed that. I would never claim it's a great movie, but I got enough out of it that I needed to,
I seem to remember enjoying Elizabethtown, to be fair. Yeah. I only watched it once, but
it was, I enjoyed it. We Bought a Zoo was pretty much what you just described Aloha to be. It was a bit of a mess, but it was quite floaty and light, and, it was very, very easy to watch. And you get that a lot of times with Cameron Crowe. He can often be quite easy to watch because his films are, fucking racial heritage or whatever people were whinging about with the Emma Stone thing aside. They're fairly inoffensive. They're not, there's no nastiness to them. They're quite, they're always best intentioned, we'll say. There's a lot of going on in them. Not a lot of nastiness or anything going on with them. Everything seems to be people dealing with people, etc. And they're quite floaty.
Oh, there's a bit involving subtitles towards the end as well, where if you are not into this film, I would imagine could make your brain itch. There are things that Crowe does here where it's like, dude, you are not helping yourself.
Yeah.
The music satellite thing and the subtitles. If you're into the film, I'm sure you're fine with it, and you probably find it charming. If not, I was very We'll have more of a discussion once you've seen it.
Yes, I'll be watching it probably at some point this week. I might even watch it on Tuesday.
Nice. Before I swing it back to you, I'll just say I watched The Man with the Golden Gun, continuing my Bond-a-thon. I think I'm in film 8 now, or 9, so only about a dozen or so to go, actually more than that, before Spectre. How many weeks away are we from that now? We're about 3 months, I think.
3 months, yeah.
Just under 3 months. Just over 3 months. Yep. So, yeah, I've got to watch slightly more than one a week to actually do it all before. That's doable. But, yeah, it's Roger Moore kind of settling into the role a bit more. It's interesting because in this one, there is a reason why he's kind of going after the guy, but there's not some grand plan to take over the world. It's basically a guy who wants to kill Bond, basically, Scaramanga, played by Christopher Lee. And it's Bond tracking him down, and then and kind of where it goes from that. So there's not a lot of big action sequences here, and where they pretty much all directly involve these two guys, and that's actually pretty interesting. I will say, Roger Moore, the kind of couple of kind of Connery-ish ticks that he has in there don't really quite pull off. I think after this, he kind of just completely does his own thing. But there's a bit where he's kind of like interrogating a girl, and she says, "Oh, you're hurting my arm," and he says, "I'll break it." And it kind of feels like something Connery would have said and would have been like, "Yeah, he means that." Coming out of Roger Moore, it's like, no, you wouldn't. You just probably give her a bit of a slap and a tickle or something. Yeah, and it doesn't quite work. But it's good. It's mental. Hervé Villachet is in there as Scaramanga's assistant, and Scaramanga seems to like give people an obstacle course involving funhouse mirrors and a saloon shootout thing, which is it's agreeably nuts. At points, this one. We'll also say Britt Eklund is pretty much useless as a Bond girl. barely does anything. She basically plays a fellow agent who essentially waits the whole film to get fucked by Bond. Actually, at one point, he actually says to her, something like, "Don't worry, darling, it will be your turn soon." And it's just like, wow.
It's just every week when you come up with what's the kind of the horrible casual sexism in it, I just go, these just sound horrible.
I mean, it's a straight. I mean, to be fair, it's a testament to Connery and Moore that the film away with these things. Because with Moore, it's just like, "Oh, you cheeky bastard," you know. But almost in a kind of a laughing kind of way, that like he's that into himself that he says that shit. And now you can look back on it and kind of laugh as almost like a, wow, that's like in a kind of ironic, that's really shit kind of way. But yeah, if you take that stuff seriously, it is offensive. And as I've said before, I get why some people are really dead against Bond films. I totally get that. But I don't know. I'm having fun watching them. That's, again, they're really easy watches. You know, and I mean, it's going to be interesting. There are a few coming up that I've either never ever seen or barely remember seeing. And it's going to be interesting to see how those go. Octopussy in particular, I don't think I've ever even seen it.
Octopus is one of the ones that I actually think I've seen the most, which would mean I've seen it more than once.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was doing the articles for Film Rant. Obviously, I'm not now, but I'm still enjoying kind of going back through them, to be honest. It's not something I'm going to do before every single Bond film, frankly, but I'm enjoying this run through.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Let's have some new stuff.
Cool. Right. I'll get the couple of terrible ones out of the way before I go into the actual really quite decent film that I watched. I watched with my brunch this morning 2008 comedy adventure, which is a fucking stretch, I'm not gonna lie. Film Strange Wilderness, which is a Happy Madison movie.
Oh yes.
So have you seen this?
Do you know what? I think I have, but I think I was pissed.
Yeah, well, that would make it infinitely better. It stars Steve Zahn, Justin Long, Jonah Hill, Ashley Scott, Ernest Borgnine's in there. It's also Alan Covert, the one who's always in anything to do with Adam Sandler. And that Peter Dante guy turns up as well, who I assume has a film career because he's friends with Adam Sandler. Because if you go through his career, all he has done Adam Sandler movies. That is the most fucking... He ain't gonna do out else, or throw a bone, and he's terrible. plot of the film is Steve Zahn plays a character called Peter Golke, who he takes over a nature program called Strange Wilderness over from his father, who used to be the host, the writer of it, and then his father died, and it was a very successful TV show, and now Steve Zahn's character is he's not got the same kind of interest in it or anything like that. He's got all of the pep and everything, but it essentially is just a fuck up who just gets baked and talks crap. So it has great sort of not great, but has lines as stuff like bears eat and attack over 200 million salmon every year. But salmon attacks on bears are very rare. And things like that. It has Justin Long essentially just playing a complete stoner who says maybe 5 things that you can actually make out what he's saying throughout it. Jonah Hill, it's staggering that only a few years later he was nominated for an Academy Award based on this, because he's terrible. It's 87 minutes long, and I'm not joking. It felt like I was watching it for a week. If a single joke in the entire thing lands, I will be surprised. It's painful to watch how bad this movie is. There's a bit in it where Steve Zahn's character actually turns around and says, "Oh, I need the cue cards for the intro," and it's given to him, and he goes, "It's written on a cocktail napkin." And they go, "Yeah, we wrote it last night when we were drinking." He's like, "Oh, right." And it's almost like you go, right, but is that the same cocktail napkin that the script for this fucking film was written on? Because there can't have been one other than stand outside RV and Steve Zahn says something. Because it just jumps from that to that to that. It is... And then at the end of it, I sort of looked up just to sort of see what the fuck happened with this movie. Which, incidentally, this movie has a 2% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I don't usually fucking endorse Rotten Tomatoes percentage bollocks, but that's high. This movie cost $20 million, which is insane, because nothing happens other than they go and try and find Bigfoot, and that's it. It's really, really, really bad, and makes you go. Even Adam Sandler must have looked at this and gone, "Fucking stretching it with this one. We really are stretching."
You need to watch Grandma's Boy now.
You said Grandma's Boy wasn't that bad.
No, I mean it's rubbish, but I don't know. I quite enjoyed sitting through it, and I think it's only like an hour and 20 minutes long.
Well, that's the one good thing about this, is the fact that it's an hour and 27 minutes long, so it's not too bad.
Okay.
Right, jumping on to another film that I watched this week. I decided to watch the Nick Cage film Rage, also known as Takarev. Have you seen this one?
Of course I haven't.
Right. What I'm going to say is this film only came out last year. Am I okay to spoiler it completely for you?
Could not give a shit.
Good. I'm really glad you said that. Right. People, if you want to watch Rage, skip past like the next maybe 5 or so minutes, or just fucking don't watch it, is what I would say to you. Right? The story of Rage is Nicolas Cage plays Paul Maguire, who is an ex kind of gangster who has gone legit. The reason why he went legit is because his wife died of cancer, and he didn't want to leave his daughter without any parents at all. So he has actually full-blown gone legit. And he's now working as some kind of property developer. One evening, his daughter goes missing, and all kind of clues point towards that she's been kidnapped and then murdered as a revenge against him for past crimes. So the police have no leads, and him and two of the people he's still in contact with, that he's still friends with, that still have links to the criminal underworld that he used to be involved in. He basically comes out of retirement and changes, and quite literally takes off his suit jacket and puts back on his leather jacket. Quite literally, right? To go and find out who the fuck killed his daughter. And then what we get, this film's 95 minutes long, right? What we ends up happening is he ends up unraveling all of this war that has been going on between the Irish-American crime families and the Russian crime families that are sort of fighting and in this massive war and have been for about the past 20 odd years. And it comes back to the fact that they're at war because of one thing that Nick Cage and his two friends did like 20 years ago, where it's incredibly convoluted, this movie, where they stole some money and killed the brother of the head of the Russian crime family, and then blamed it on the head of the Irish crime family. And also, by the way, Peter Stormare plays one of the heads of the families.
Right? Of course, Peter Stormare's in this. Of course he is.
Yeah, he plays one of the heads of the families. Guess which one?
The Irish.
Yes.
Oh my God! What's his accent like?
Irish. Right. Peter Stormare plays, right, a man who sounds like he's from Eastern Europe. He's playing the head of the Irish mafia. And he tries to do an Irish accent, and it is wonderful. Because also, as well, he's dyed his beard, like, black, for some fucking reason, and he's in a wheelchair. So they go around essentially killing members of the Irish mafia and members of the Russian mafia to try and find out who the fuck killed his daughter. They can't find out who the fuck he killed his daughter. That nobody seems to know anything. So essentially, what they have to do is Nick Cage's character decides that one of the two loyal friends that he's had, that he's grown up with all of his life, etc., he must have ratted him out. He must be involved. He must be the one person who knows. So he fucking kills him. The other guy gets killed and ends up admitting to the head of the Russian crime family that it was them that started this massive war. And so it goes back to the head of the Russian crime family, ends up killing the head of the Irish crime family, and all of these things happen. And then do you fucking know what? It turns out his daughter was killed by one of the people that was round at his house by accident when they were playing around with some guns that were in his house. Didn't need any of it at all.
That's the big twist, is it? All of this was completely pointless, and it was literally just an accident.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And when it happens, because it happens, and you start to think, wait a minute, shit. Was the kid that was at, because the daughter is at the house with two of her male friends. You think, shit, oh my God, is it that the kid that was round at the house, was he the son of the Russian crime brother thing that Nick Cage killed? And he found out, so shot the daughter. Oh my God, that's what must have happened. Oh no, they were just pissed and fooling about with guns and he shot her. Oh, all right. Wow, that got out of fucking hand quickly. Yeah,
that escalated quickly. Yeah,
none of it had any meaning. So Nick Cage essentially has caused more shit to happen between these two crime families. He's been responsible for the death of one of his best friends and actually killed the other best friend, and it was all just a fucking accident.
Yeah, that sounds like bobbins.
Yeah, it is absolute. It couldn't be any more of a modern Nick Cage movie. Yep. It is. It literally is like Nick Cage read the script, probably while he was pissed, and went, well, this could be my Taken. And then made it. And the guy who directed it takes itself so serious as well. Like, ridiculously seriously. It thinks that it's got something to say, and it doesn't. It is, my God, it is crap. It is 92 minutes long. And fuck, I would watch Strange Wilderness again, back to back, rather than watching that movie.
Nice.
Yep. On to the other one that I watched this week. I watched a Sidney Lumet film from 1990 called Q&A, which I was actually recommended to me by one of our fitters that works for us. Stars Nick Nolte, Timothy Hutton, and Armand Asante, and Nick Nolte. It's set in, well, it's 1990, so I'm guessing it was written in the late 80s and was started filming either in the very early 1990 or the very late 80s. So, of course, Nick Nolte played a tough detective in it. At the start of the movie, Nick Nolte essentially kills somebody and then plants a gun on him, and we have Timothy Hutton is a DA, and this is his first case. He's brought in and basically told, look, this is cut and dry. It's a standard cop shot him because he pulled a gun on him. Let's get it over and done with quickly. And then as Timothy Hutton, along with his assistants that are working with him, the two detectives that are working and investigating with him, played by Charles S. Dutton and Luis Guzman, start investigating more and more. They start to notice that this isn't as cut and dry as it seemed, and they start to realise that Nick Nolte's character, Mike Brennan, who everybody keeps going on about, is, one of the best cops you'll ever meet, and is, he's tough, but he's fair, and, he's part of the old fucking guard, etc., etc., that maybe he's a little bit more on the bad side than he is on the good side, and needs to kind of be stopped. With all this, Nick Nolte is essentially just going around being very Nick fucking Nolte. He's just going around threatening people and just being very Nick Nolte. There's a great moment where he's having a conversation with one of the heads of the Italian crime families, and one of his kind of the head goons for this Italian crime family basically threatens Nick Nolte, and Nick Nolte turns round, his character turns round to him and says, "Are you seriously threatening me? I eat guys like you and shit them out before breakfast." And the guy gets up to go for Nick Nolte, so Nick Nolte rips his shirt off him and pushes him over. And so,
nice.
This scene, the guy is trying to put his shirt back together as Nick Nolte is just looking at him and quite literally just snarling at him and like foaming at the mouth at him. And it's glorious. And everything everybody says about Nick Nolte is, he's a great cop, but I'll be honest, I'm really, really scared of him. And you can fucking see why. Timothy Hutton takes a big kind of jump into this case. His character goes into it because one of the lead witnesses, who also happens to be a dope dealer, got a great fucking name. He's called Texador, played by Armand Asante. He's now married to Timothy Hutton's ex-missus, so you've got that thrown in there as well. And it's one of those great kind of cop dramas where everybody seems to be on the take, and it's this guy threatens this guy and that guy threatens that guy, and it's done in quite a noiristic tone. But I watched it on Amazon Prime. I rented it for £3.49, which is the first time I actually rented a movie off Amazon Prime and actually fucking paid for it. It is well worth £3.50, is what I will say. It's a really, really entertaining, really fucking gritty, proper good kind of Saturday, Sunday night movie to watch. just over 2 hours, but fucking flies by. Nick Nolte's great. Timothy Hutton's great. You know, it makes you remember that Timothy Hutton at one point was, you know, he was hot shit, you know, and was going to be. I think, you know, he'd done, what was it he did with Taps? He did with his name's escaped me now, and it's going to be really irritating when I do it. Is it Taps? No,
what Tom Cruise is in Taps.
Sean Penn, yeah, that was it. He did Taps with that, and you know, Timothy Hutton was, you know, I remember saying Sean Penn saying, you know, everybody expected that Timothy Hutton was going to be the one who was going to go on to have, you know, the amazing career, and you know he was the hot shit. And then when you look at it, you know, the careers that you know that Tom Cruise, you know, possibly biggest movie star on the fucking planet, has gone on to have, and Sean Penn, you know, has won Oscars, etc. You can see why people thought Timothy Hutton was, you know, the next big thing when you see him in sort of films like this. It really is a fucking entertaining movie, and you know, I would thoroughly recommend tracking it down.
Yeah, nice. I will. What? Oh, no, it's DOA I'm thinking of. The Dennis Quaid one.
Yes.
Yeah, no, okay. I always get those two confused. Yeah, I've never seen Q&A. Isn't it a remake?
I think it is a remake.
Is DOA a remake?
I think it is a remake. I think this had been made as a TV film a couple of years earlier, I think.
Okay, right.
Yeah, but also as well.
Yeah. No, I do need to watch that.
Yeah, it's very, very good. The only one kind of misstep is there's a song that plays on the opening credits that then plays a couple of times throughout the film that kind of feels a little bit incongruous to everything else you're kind of watching, because it's a little bit of a kind of like jaunty little tune that's playing. So that's probably the only misstep. But other than that, it's a very, very good. It looks great as well. Very sort of entertaining, proper kind of crime thriller film.
Yeah, nice. I'm looking forward to that. It's good that you actually paid for it as well on Amazon Prime.
Well, I figured, you know, it's £3.49, and you know, it's that easy to get. You know,
yeah.
You know, £3.49. I could quite easily have fucking downloaded it, you know, rather than buy it on Blu-ray or whatever like that, which doesn't exist, you know. But fuck it, if the option's there, I'm gonna go for that option. I'm happy to pay £3.49 for a fucking movie. This is a movie that my experience for it was well worth the £3.49 that I've got. And if they did release a Blu-ray of this, I probably would buy it.
Oh, fair play. On a tangent, actually, I've got to say, have you seen the Mondo Steelbooks?
Yes, I have.
I ordered myself a couple yesterday.
Oh, because of course you've got a region. What is that, haven't you? Region 3 player.
Yeah. Now I've got myself a Region 3 player again. Yeah. 30 quid on eBay, man.
The player, yeah. Which ones did you go for?
Yeah, that's Drive.
The Drive.
And
nice.
Oh yeah, and Pan's Labyrinth. Have you seen that one?
No, I've not actually.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Look it up.
I'll have a look at them now. Yeah, because I think I might have to invest in the First Blood one of those, because it's staggeringly beautiful.
Yeah, that's nice as well. I don't know, I just like these steel books. They look really, really nice, and they are proper limited editions as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm just looking at the Pan's Labyrinth one now. It's fucking. That is a striking image for the front of the steelbook.
That's it. There is much. Yeah, it's lovely that, isn't it? Yeah. They're as much kind of like a work of art as they are anything else. To be honest, the steelbooks. I don't like when you get the generic steelbooks. I don't bother with those, but stuff like that. That is stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, the Drive one's gorgeous as well, and. It's just a shame they don't sell these in the UK, really. I mean, the Pan's Labyrinth one cost me 23 quid, which I didn't think was that bad. The Drive one, the guy was selling it like on offer for 35, but he was saying buy it now or make offer. I offered 30 and they went for it. And I don't know. It's like that's getting towards the peak of what I would acceptably pay.
Yeah, I mean, for the First Blood one, because the Shaun of the Dead one's nice as well, actually, yeah. The First Blood one, I'd probably pay sort of, I'd hit 30 quid and then I'd probably stop at 30 quid.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean,
I feel like I'd have to set myself a limit for the amount I would pay.
Yeah, I think 30 is about the most I would pay for a steelbook, and it would have to be a really, 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 really nice one. But I mean, you've also got the added thing. Apparently, these Mondo ones are pretty much only available in some of the. I think they're only available in Canada.
Yeah,
weirdly.
Best Buy.
Yeah, which I don't know is really, really odd that it's Canada and not the US. But okay.
There's probably some ridiculous kind of rights issue thing there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's kind of fascinating. I mean, it's weird. I tend not to buy that many Blu-rays now, but I got the bug again a little bit this week, and I bought myself a few, and I just got the Criterion of the Friends of Eddie Coyle, and it's just like that is never ever 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 going to be released in a better format than a Criterion Blu-ray.
No,
it's not. They're probably not going to give that a 4K. Yeah, I mean, I think that was like from a 2K master. You're not going to get a 4K because, like, with Ultra HD Blu-rays like starting to come out like the end of this year, it's going to be interesting to see what places like Arrow and Criterion actually do with that. Whether they actually bother, and if they re-release everything. I don't know. I mean, I was reading a crazy statistic yesterday that, like, I think only 5% of all disc sales in the UK are Blu-ray.
Jeez.
And it's just
people still buy DVD, though, don't they? People.
Yeah.
A lot of people still do. That's insane, though. But then again, you've got to kind of cop for a lot of the the supermarket fucking buyers. Those people who I mean, my mum's a prime example for that. She literally will, on a weekend, she'll go, if she's in Tesco or something like that, she'll go and have a look and buy like 2 or 3 DVDs that are like £3 that they can watch over the weekend. And she'll just look at it and go, that looks all right, or I've heard Mark mention that, I'll get that. Because if she watches them and she don't like them, she'll give it to my nephew, and it builds up his collection. Or she'll, if I haven't got it, she'll say, do you want that, or whatever, or and from there. But they get there. It's fuck it. 10 years ago, we used to go and rent a film for £3 for a weekend, and now you can go to the supermarket and buy one. Yeah, it's not going to be a new release or anything like that, like it would do the rental thing, but it'll probably be something that's probably been out, within the past 2 years quite easily.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. I mean, I don't know. It's just like when Ultra HD does come out, it is going to be interesting to see how much of a push it actually gets. And I don't know. It just, whereas with DVD to Blu-ray, I was like, yeah, I will rebuy things. I kind of wonder if that's going to be the case with 4K. But, assuming Fox put out, say, Alien, it's like, how am I not going to want that in 4K?
Well, that's it. It's one of those things where right now I'll be going, do you know what? I'm fine with Blu-ray. Blu-ray looks amazing. I'm now at the point where I'm going, right, but I remember saying that with DVD. So I'm going to look at something on 4K and go, oh, actually, fuck it. You know what? There you go. That's incredible. I don't know until I physically will see it. But at the moment, I've culled my buying quite significantly. So I don't know. I'm still going to try and just get stuff that I really, really fucking want and stick to the Club 100 theorem.
Which one day we'll actually get an episode.
Yes.
One day.
It'll be epic.
Sorry, go on.
No. So it's
bloody right. Jesus
Christ.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll do my last couple. So, watched a couple of comedies. Trainwreck. So yeah, it's the Amy Schumer film, and I don't know. I think everybody kind of knows about Trainwreck by now. So, and it only came out in the UK this weekend, so I'm sure quite a lot of people have probably heard quite a lot about it. So I would just say, I think it's certainly better than Apatow's last couple of efforts. I think Amy Schumer herself plays a nice line in approachable, but also a dickhead. And I think she's actually playing that up a bit in this film. I like every single Apatow film. It is about 15-20 minutes too long. But it doesn't drag its heels as much as Funny People and This Is 40. I seem to remember they were both well over 2 hours. This is about 2 hours, but probably would have been better at 100 minutes. The fun, I mean, I think the people who are supposed to be funny in this film are funny, but the funniest people are LeBron James and John Cena. Amazingly. John Cena is fantastic. He's not in it much. But there is a scene involving him in a cinema, which is in the trailer, but it goes on longer, which is amazing. It's really funny. And LeBron James has got a nice line in kind of understated. His character doesn't know he's being funny, but he kind of is kind of line that I really enjoyed as well. Again, not in it as much as I was kind of led to believe.
Himself?
Who, sorry? LeBron James.
Is he playing a version of himself?
Yeah, he's playing LeBron James.
Right, cool.
But yeah, there's this kind of running joke about him being cheap, which I quite enjoyed actually. There's a bit with him and Bill Hader arguing about paying for lunch, which was solid. But yeah, it does go down. There's some shit in the film that does feel quite autobiographical that isn't about her sex life and relationships, which does feel like, yeah, that could well be cut and you're not going to lose too much from it. The ending also, if you're with it, great. If you're not, again, it could make your brain itch. Donna and I were a little bit on either side of that. It is quite sweet, but it falls into some very generic rom-com type stuff, and I don't know whether that was supposed to be like meta knowingness or just this is what they're going to do. I kind of get the feeling it was kind of the latter, and again, it doesn't quite click. It doesn't feel as real as the rest of the film aims to be and mainly succeeds at being. So yeah, it's funny. I laughed out loud several times. I had a good solid time watching it. Yeah, that's about it. I will just say, she gets a new job at one point towards the end of the film, and I find it very hard to believe that she could get a job at that place, considering how, under what circumstances she left her last job. Those who have seen it know what I'm talking about. Yeah. There you go.
Will watching it make me want to punch myself in the face repeatedly?
Perhaps.
I see. I can't.
If you just don't like Amy Schumer, don't watch.
I think she's I've not liked. Admittedly, I've not seen her a lot, but I do think she's one of those people who thinks she's a lot funnier than she actually fucking is, and so she could grate on me. But I kind of want to see it for LeBron James, just because I've heard he's actually really quite entertaining in it. And of course, he's he's a small minority stakeholder in Liverpool Football Club, so I kind of want to, for some reason, there's a tenuous link to my kind of weird psyche of that. I want to see who this fucking guy is because I know very little about him.
Yeah, no, I mean he's good, and like I say, John Cena's good. Everybody's really good in the film. It does seem to be the hot film of the moment, and I am a little bit cooler on it than some people are. But again, it's Apatow's best film in nearly 10 years. Yeah. So there's that.
I also want to watch it because I feel like I should have an opinion on it, and I'm absolutely open to the fact that I might watch it and come out of it and go, do you know what? I was wrong to think that was actually quite entertaining. It was all right, So I will watch it, and I will go into it with very, very open arms and open mind.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And lastly for this week, Ted 2, which I thought was all right. It kind of seems that really was the came and went film of the summer. It didn't seem to make any impression whatsoever.
Yeah,
and it kind of feels like it didn't even come out. And yeah, I mean it's all right. I like that McFarlane basically it's about kind of going to court to argue for his civil rights. Because he's deemed to be property and not a person. But along the way, you've got him taking the piss out of Amanda Seyfried because she looks like Gollum, and which is pretty good. And musical interludes, and there's a song and dance number at one point, and
of course there is.
It's McFarlane doing his McFarlane thing. But I like that, in a way, I like that he's actually trying to make some serious points in this goofy film. But again, it kind of feels like he's trying to say, look, I'm making serious points in this goofy film. And you don't really want that. You want Ted and Mark Wahlberg taking the piss out of each other and having fights, just kind of big dicks to people. Like, that's what I liked about Ted. I like the hanging outness of it. This one actually kind of feels like it's in thrall to its actual overarching story a bit too much, and I'm not massive on that. It also, slight spoiler alert, the third act again has Giovanni Ribisi stealing Ted, and then Mark Wahlberg having to rescue him. Which, I don't know, really
feels a little bit lazy.
Yeah, it kind of does. But I didn't hate it. I laughed several times. There's a running joke about you only being 2 steps away from black cocks on the internet, which I actually thought was pretty good. But I will say, there are quite a few punchlines in the film that end with something about black people. And it is a bit... Are we just going for an easy laugh here? Or it kind of actually feels like Seth MacFarlane's picking on black people a bit. And I mean, I don't know. It's... Again, I mean, if you offend everybody, then you can't say that you're actually kind of pointing anybody out, but I don't know. It feels slightly distasteful, in not the way that I think McFarlane was particularly going for. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. We're not going to have a Ted 3 now. I think the steam's completely gone out of that kettle. But for what it was, I laughed. It's an hour and 55 minutes, which is kind of brutal. There's
a long time.
There's an interlude in a barnyard or a farm in the middle of the night, which goes on far too long. But it's got Ted calling Amanda Seyfried Gollum. It's got Mark Wahlberg in a fertility clinic having a load of bottles of pots of cum fall on him, and then the cum will explode on him. You know, it's that. It made me laugh. I like a haunted house too.
All right, then. If I was going to watch a comedy tonight, and I was going to watch Ted 2 or Trainwreck, which one would I watch?
Trainwreck without. Which one would you watch? Which one should you?
Which one should I watch?
Oh, Trainwreck.
Right, so a better film, without question.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
Right.
Yes. 100,000% yes. But Ted 2, I also laughed.
Fair enough.
It's 3 out of 5. Trainwreck is probably a 4 out of 5 if I'm thinking about it. Ted 2, 3. Straight down the line, 3.
Yeah, well, that's three's watchable, but 3 is watchable in the terms of I might watch it on like a fucking day off when I've just got out of the shower and I'm eating breakfast.
I watched it at 10 o'clock this morning and I was hungover.
Yeah, that seems like a good time to watch this kind of movie. I might watch it. I'm off work on Tuesday, a rare weekday off, and so I may watch it then.
Nice.
Ooh.
Do you have any more?
I don't know. That's it. I'm out of shit that I have watched.
Okay, we shall do some feedback and then get the fuck out then, because we've got feedback.
Yes.
We've got an email. Gareth Clark, who we have not heard from before, and he says, "Dear fine sirs, I have been listening from day one, but this is the first feedback and question I've sent. What can I say? I'm massively lazy. Anyway, love the show, but I have a couple of podcast-related questions. I've recently moved jobs, and I can no longer listen to as many hours of podcasts as I did in my previous work, so I've had to cut some of the lesser casts from my list. Obvious ones such as Damn and CVSP, Chinchorry vs. Punter are keepers, as are things like How Did This Get Made? This is right in Marc's wheelhouse with some of the shit he watches, nice, and not forgetting Kermo. So I was wondering, what are your must-listen-to podcasts these days, and do we review ever listen to any non-movie casts? The Bugle is a great listen, in my opinion. Keep up the great work." Gareth in Mansfield. Thank you, Gareth. Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of non-film related podcasts, in fairness, but I listen to like 5 Live 606 Football Phone In, because I enjoy hearing people going off on one and then Robbie Savage just calling them idiots, basically. That makes me laugh. In terms of film podcasts, let me bring up my thingy.
Well,
do you want to go?
I actually don't listen to that many film podcasts anymore. I do listen to CBSP, obviously. I occasionally listen to Kermode. Beyond that, I don't tend to listen to too many film podcasts, just because in the case of I found myself getting angry by them. I used to listen to the British Nellis podcast. It's gone behind a paywall now, I think. But I'd happily pay for it because I did thoroughly enjoy it. In terms of non-film related ones, I listen to a bunch of fucking football podcasts. So I listen to the Game, which is the Times football podcast. I listen to Football Weekly, which is the Guardian's football podcast.
Oh yes, so do I. Yes.
I listen to the Football Ramble. I listen to Sky Sunday Supplement. I used to watch Sunday Supplement on a Sunday morning, but now I like listening to that on a podcast. I listen to it on my way to work on a Monday morning. There's also a Liverpool-related podcast I listen to called the Anfield Wrap, which actually has a player as well, which is behind a paywall, which you pay for, that has a bunch of fucking shows on it, and that's called the Tour Player. And so that's got there's about kind of 5 or 6 shows a week on that. So I listen to that. So they pretty much fucking take up all of my time. Also, the Blizzard do sporadic podcasts that are really quite good. So most of mine are football related, which makes no sense because I stopped listening to as many film podcasts because they angered me. And now I listen to a lot of football podcasts that anger me probably fucking even more than the film ones did. So yeah, I listen to a bunch of football ones, and I commend people like Noel, who is this season trying to kind of take a step back from football, because I said that I was going to do it, and so I said I'm going to have this season where I'm not going to let it fucking rule the next 9 months of my life, and fuck that went fucking out of the window straight away. So yeah, I wish with football that I didn't give a shit. And I try to not give a shit, but the fact fucking still remains that I really, really do give a shit.
Nice. I'm gonna actually listen to Sunday Supplement when I'm out taking lots for our evening stroll. So I forgot that
listen to
was a podcast, so I will be listening to that.
Yeah, it's a great listen to. It's Sunday Supplement. I thoroughly enjoy it, even though I do find myself getting really fucking angry with it.
Nice. I brought up my list of podcasts. Film Junk podcast, which is my perennial. Fucking Film Junk. They are super, super fucking funny.
Well, I will add that to the list and give them a go, because a lot of people recommended that to me. I've just never got around to actually fucking listening to it. So I'm going to make a list while you're reading yours out. Yeah, Film Junk.
Yeah, it's good. In IndieWire Screen Talk, the IndieWire podcast, which is very, very inside baseball and quite a lot about distribution and what films are getting picked up by what labels, and like Oscar campaigns and stuff like that. Yeah, I really enjoy it actually. The Empire Magazine film podcast, which is just give it like one listen, and if you don't like it, then just unsubscribe. The Empire Film Podcast, which is fine. The Kermode one, obviously, even though Edith Bowman's been presenting.
Oh wow, Kermode's doing his
for the last few weeks,
yeah,
and I'm not a massive fan of hers. Because it's basically summer holidays.
Yeah, how can you have Edith Bowman presenting it? This is a woman who freely admitted that she didn't like Behind the Candelabra, so read her emails while she was watching it instead.
Yeah, actually in the cinema. Yeah, she got a lot of shit for that. I remember that. It also, I will say, at the end of this week's podcast, which is the last one she's doing before Kermode's back, they every week on the podcast at the end, Kermode and Mayo put on a song, one that's kind of been mentioned in the show, and then they kind of play it. At the end of this one, she was like, "Right, we're going to do something new. I don't think it's usually done this, but we're going to have some music at the end of the show." And it's just like, right, do your homework. If you're going to be presenting this show for a few weeks, and this actually, it's not just Edith Bowman. A lot of the guests, the fill-in presenters, do this. There are things in people's emails and stuff that they don't understand that are kind of almost like in jokes and things like that. It's just, do your homework. You should know that this is a thing, and that does bug me. But Robbie Collins been on the film critic side the last few weeks, and they actually have pretty good banter between them, and they obviously like each other, so that's good. But Edith Bowman, I don't really get the impression she's super massively into films. I might be wrong, but she doesn't give that impression on the radio. But hey, anyway, IGN Keeping It Real podcast, which is IGN's weekly podcast, and it's basically just genre news, a lot of superhero news stuff. But I've been listening to that for years. I quite enjoy the hosts on that. Chin Stringer versus Punter, obviously. The Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith, which is kind of a weekly. He does he presents films and then has the writers or directors or whatever out to talk about them, and he kind of records them. Really good. American Cinematographer podcast, but they don't really put out all that often. Junk Food Cinema, which is Brian Salisbury, I believe his name is, and C. Robert Cargill, who used to write for Ain't It Cool, and he actually wrote Sinister.
Oh, yeah.
They do a weekly podcast about genre cinema. You might like that, actually. It's pretty solid. A couple of KCRW podcasts. Hollywood Breakdown in the Business, again, very inside baseball stuff. The Golden Briefcase, which is Film School Rejects' podcast. They only put out intermittently these days. I mean, like, they haven't had one out for weeks, so there you go. I've only got a few left. The Criterion Cast, which I quite enjoy. The Canon, which is Devon Faraci and Amy Nicholson. I think she writes for the LA Times in the US. Devon Faraci, very polarizing figure on the internet. If you don't like Devon Faraci, just don't even bother. But the guy knows his stuff. The guy knows his stuff. He has quite an abrasive way of saying it, but I do quite enjoy that. The Row Free Cinecast, which I enjoy. Again, some of the people on that might rub you up the wrong way, but they've got good camaraderie. They know their shit. And one of the guys on it, he writes for Twitch.net, and it's a good pod. I've been listening to that one for years. And Film Spotting, which I listen to every now and then. Yeah.
Fuck, I used to listen to that like 5 years ago. You know,
Yeah,
I started listening about 2-3 years ago. But I don't know why I started listening to it. It was quite an enjoyable podcast to listen to, actually. I didn't know it was still going. It's all the same guys?
Yeah. One of them's the same guy. The other one, they had the original co-host, and then he dropped out and somebody else took his place. I stopped listening to Film Spotting for a while, and in that time, he's dropped out and been replaced by somebody else as well. And they also actually have they have a spin-off podcast called Film Spotting Streaming Video Unit, which is actually all right as well. Yeah, I mean, good on them, the Film Spotting guys. They've really made that work, and I think they're the longest running film podcast on the internet, and yeah, like I say, good on them. So yeah, there you go. I listen to a lot of film podcasts.
You do, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to check out a few of those, and I'll get back to you on them.
Junk Food Cinema, I genuinely think you'll enjoy. I really do actually. They had a recent episode on Running Scared. Here are some of the ones they've done recently: Adventures in Babysitting, Punisher Warzone, Running Scared, Tango and Cash. But then they did 10 Things I Hate About You, Can't Hardly Wait. They did a special episode just on James Wan. They did an episode kind of like the Romero crazies versus the remake crazies. I don't know, it's all sorts of stuff. The Tango and Cash one's actually funny. No, it's good. And like I say, the IndieWire one, you were sounding interested in that. Yeah. It is very, very inside baseball.
See, that's what I sound about it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's enjoyable. So yeah, there you go. Hope that was some recommendations for people.
Cool.
And thank you very much for the email as well, Gareth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. Thanks. It was a big surprise actually seeing a fucking email in there that wasn't spam.
Yeah, and thanks for listening. Obviously, yeah. Glad
Indeed. I missed that.
No, I just say glad we've got people who've been there from the beginning.
Oh no, absolutely, man. Fucking right. Okay, so that's the end of the show. Next week, are we doing vacation?
I could gladly do vacation. Just.
I thought that was gonna. I thought that was going to be a bit of a gimme for you. I thought that would be like, yeah, we're doing vacation.
Yeah. Is there anything else out there? Is there?
I don't think there's an awful.
See, the thing is, I'm very happy to do vacation because I love the vacation movies. But I also, I don't want to force you to go and see a movie that you really don't want to see.
No.
So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, go on. We'll do vacation because, like, you obviously actually want to see it, and I don't know. Maybe I'll be surprised.
I don't think you will.
So, yeah, no, neither do I. But we'll see. We'll see. So next week we'll do vacation because fuck not. And yeah, that's about all that I've got to say today. Mark, anything else?
No, that's everything. yeah. Good. That's a healthy portion of the show done, which is a lot of fun. We would have recorded the other bit on a different day, but I'm sure that'll be equally as excellent.
Yes, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of Man From U.N.C.L.E, I must say, because obviously at this point Mark hasn't seen it yet, but you'll know. When listening to this, you'll know what Mark thought of it. I hope he liked it because I did.
I really hope I like it. As everything, I always hope that I like things.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go. dudeandamonkey@gmail.com. Somebody wrote in. So
Yes.
Why don't you?
Yes.
And at Ian Loring, at DudeFoz, at Dude and the Monkey, and that's going to do it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.